Welcome or welcome back. Remember the 90s? The era of dial-up and gaming evolution that promised to blur the lines between movies and interactive entertainment. We're talking about full-motion video here because for a glorious, albeit brief moment, FMV games were the future, the undisputed kings of cinematic storytelling in gaming. But like a perfectly rendered pre-recorded cutscene, the reign eventually faded into annals of history. Today, we're diving deep into the pixelated past to uncover the rise and spectacular fall of PC FMV games. We're talking about the most iconic, the most ambitious, and sometimes the most hilariously bad titles that defined an era. From the humble beginnings of grainy video clips to multi-CD extravaganzas, we'll take a journey through the golden age of FMV, pinpointing the moments that made them shine and missteps that led to their eventual demise. Before the internet was a household service and storage was measured in megabytes not terabytes, the developers were already dreaming of bringing real actors and movie quality production to our PC screens. It started small with tantalizing glimpses of what could be, and leading the charge in 1991 we have what many consider to be the very first full-fledged FMV game on PC, Tex Murphy Martian Memorandum. It's a sci-fi noir adventure that plunges into a trenchcoat of a private investigator Tex Murphy as he navigates a dystopian post-apocalyptic San Francisco. The gameplay was a classic point-and-click adventure, but the real star was the innovative use of live-action video clips for character interactions and plot exposition. It was revolutionary, even if the video quality was closer to a grainy home movie, like that one from your cousin Vinny's 13th birthday than a Hollywood blockbuster. Still, it proved that FMV had a place in gaming. Then came 1993, a pivotal year that would truly kickstart the FMV craze. First up, the hauntingly atmospheric The Seventh Guest. It was a puzzle-adventure game that trapped players in a sinister mansion, solving intricate riddles while ghostly live-action sequences revealed the chilling backstory. It was a technological marvel for its time, leveraging the new CD-Rom format to deliver its full-motion video and pre-rendered 3D environments. It sold over 2 million copies, and only God knows how many CD drives, as it was one of the first PC games released only on CD. It even got a thumbs up from Bill Gates, who called it the new standard in interactive entertainment. Not bad for a haunted house full of ghostly FMV actors, don't you think? From chilling mysteries to quick-draw action, 1993 also gave us Mad Dog McCree. This was essentially an interactive light gun arcade game brought to PC. You played as the stranger, a lone hero facing off against the titular Mad Dog McCree and his gang in a Wild West setting. The entire game was presented through full-motion video where you'd shoot at actors playing the villains. It was simple, cheesy fun and showed that FMV could deliver a different kind of arcade thrill, in both shooting and overabundance of super fun cringe video scenes. And speaking of cheesy, let's not forget The Lone Mower Man, also from 1993. Based on the sci-fi horror film, this game tried to blend the adventure, puzzle and action elements. It was most notable for its attempt to replicate the film's trippy virtual reality sequences using FMV. While the game itself was a mixed bag, it represented the ambitious, if sometimes misguided, attempts to push the boundaries of what FMV could do. Finally rounding up this formative period, we have Mega Race from 1993. This futuristic combat racing game was all about spectacle. It featured a delightfully over-the-top live-action host Lance Boyle, who would introduce the races and mock you mercilessly. In fact, these live-action scenes with him were often longer than the races. And races, funny enough, used pre-rendered 3D FMV overlay tracks too, with only the vehicles being rendered in real time. It was fast, furious, and perfectly encapsulated the vibrant, slightly goofy energy of early 90s FMV. The mid-90s saw the CD-ROM become a standard feature in home PCs. This massive leap in storage capacity over rapidly aging floppies was a game-changer for FMV. No longer limited to compressed, grainy clips, developers could unleash their full cinematic ambitions, and gamers just couldn't get enough. In 1994, Tex Murphy made a glorious return with Under a Killing Moon, which coincidentally is my all-time favorite FMV game. It was a monumental leap forward for the series and for FMV in general, featuring a huge cast of live actors, including Chris Jones as Tex himself. Fully explorable 3D environments and hours of full-motion video made it feel like playing a movie. The production values were significantly higher, the video quality was improved, and the sprawling mystery had players hooked. It was a true testament to what FMV could achieve with bigger budget, more disk space, and talented writers in charge of the story. And speaking of big budgets and big stars, 1994 also gave us Wing Commander 3: Heart of the Tiger. This space combat simulator was revolutionary for its time, not just for its engaging gameplay and following on the epic story of the earlier titles, but for its incredibly ambitious FMV cutscenes. It featured a Hollywood-caliber cast, including Mark Hamill, yeah, the mother-effing Luke Skywalker himself, Malcolm McDowell, and John Rhys Davies. The cinematic quality of Wing Commander scenes was unprecedented, making players feel like they were truly part of an epic space opera. It was a bold statement about the potential of interactive storytelling and a pretty cool game in its own right too. And since today's video is all about FMV games, we just can't ignore the Night Trap. That also happened to release in 1994 for PC after its infamous 1992 console debut. It put you in charge of security cameras trying to protect a group of teenage girls from vampiric creatures. While often mocked for its B-movie acting, and let me tell you, it is cringe as hell, and sometimes for the clunky gameplay too, Night Trap is legendary for its starring role in the 1993 US Senate hearings on video game violence, which ultimately led to creation of the ESRB. So think of it as you will, but it's a true piece of gaming history.
Just the kind of thing that would happen on our big night.
Well, we better get the Augs before...
Moving into 1995, the FMV train still continued to pick up steam. The Daedalus encounter, starring beautiful Mistia Carrera, whom you may know from Wayne's World, threw players into a thrilling sci-fi adventure. You played as a disembodied consciousness controlling a drone to solve puzzles and interact with your crewmates. The game was almost entirely composed of high-quality FMV, creating an immersive, if sometimes disorienting experience. It truly leaned into the idea of interactive movie, as at times it felt more like a movie than a game. And finally, Sierra Online, once masters of the adventure, took FMV horror to new heights in 1995 with Phantasmagoria, a graphic adventure that was the tour de force of live-action video, telling the story of Adrienne Delaney, who moved into a haunted mansion. The game was controversial for its graphic content and disturbing imagery, pushing the boundaries of what was acceptable in video games. It was a massive undertaking requiring 7 CD-ROMs, 4.5 million budget, and a custom 1.5 million studio, and over 1000 backgrounds, and as a result, it became a defining title for the genre, for better or worse. By the mid to late 90s, FMV games were reaching their zenith in terms of production values and sheer disc count, often releasing on over 4 and sometimes even up to 10 CDs. Developers were pouring millions into these projects, hiring Hollywood talent and pushing the limits of storage. It was an era of ambitious storytelling in impressive, if sometimes over-the-top cinematic spectacle. In 1995, Gabriel Knight returned with The Beast Within. The sequel ditched the hand-drawn art of its predecessor for an almost entirely FMV experience. Gabriel and Grace are thrust into a dark mystery involving werewolves in Bavaria. The game utilizes extensive live-action video, creating a genuinely atmospheric and mature narrative. Beast Within came on 6 discs, one for each chapter, and felt like binge-watching a gothic miniseries but with more werewolves. It was praised for its intricate plot and effective use of FMV to tell a compelling adult story.
He's not listening.
The force was strong with FMV in 1995, as Star Wars Rebel Assault to the Hidden Empire soared onto PCs. It was an on-rail shooter that put players directly into the cockpit of various Star Wars vehicles, intertwined with tons of brand new live-action cutscenes featuring original characters and a plot that felt ripped straight from the movies. In fact, it was first new live-action Star Wars footage in over a decade. It was a dream come true for the Star Wars fans who wanted to be in the action, and the FMV sequences were a huge draw. Heading into 1996, we saw some truly star-studded FMV productions. Reaper was a cyberpunk adventure game that boasted an incredible cast, including Christopher Walken, Karen Allen, and Burgess Meredith in his final role. You played as a reporter investigating a serial killer in a futuristic New York. The game was packed with high-quality FMV, intricate puzzles, and a dense, compelling narrative, making it one of the more polished and memorable FMV titles of its time, and a highlight of the genre rather than one of the reasons of its demise. Also in 1996 we had the ambitious horror adventure Realms of the Haunting. It blended first-person shooter elements with traditional adventure game puzzles, all set within a vast haunted castle. While it featured a more limited use of FMV compared to some contemporaries, the live-action cutscenes were crucial for delivering its complex storyline and chilling atmosphere. It was a sprawling, multi-disc experience that truly tested the limits of 90s gaming hardware and one of the most overlooked PC games of the second half of the decade. As quickly as the FMV boom began, it started to fizzle. By the late 90s, the novelty began to wear off. Gamers grew tired of the interactive movie illusion often being just that, an illusion with limited player agency. And crucially, a new technology was rapidly taking over: real-time 3D graphics that exploded the popularity of consoles such as Sony PlayStation. Despite that shift though, some developers still believed in the power of FMV. In 1998, we saw the release of Black Dahlia, a very ambitious adventure game from Take-Two Interactive. It even roped Dennis Hopper and Terry Garr for that extra Hollywood bling. It's an intricate mystery that plunged players into a dark, historical conspiracy spanning World War II and the infamous Black Dahlia murder. It was a truly massive game, requiring 8 CDs and featuring hours of high-quality FMV and a twisting, mature plot. But when it arrived, the genre was already on its way out.
I got nothing to do with no lousy feds. I want you to do me a favor and scram, huh?
Also in 1998, fans of the paranormal and vague quotes like "I want to believe" or "they're out there" got their fix with the X-Files game. This was a truly ambitious project, essentially an extended into hours interactive episode of the hit TV show. Players took on the role of an FBI agent investigating the disappearance of Mulder and Scully, interacting with the original cast in cinematic FMV sequences. Sadly, Mulder and Scully pop in just enough to remind you it's the X-Files, then vanish again, true to the game's main plot. Still, it was a dream come true for the fans, delivering an authentic X-Files experience. The X-Files highlighted the genre's struggle to adapt to the changing landscape of gaming and failed to grasp that it was time to move into 3D. And finally, capping off the golden era not with a bang, but with a deeply strange and fascinating psychological puzzle, we have Tender Loving Care from 1998. And yes, this is not my boasting about my truly imaginary bedroom skills, it's the title of the game. Well, it wasn't really a game in the traditional sense, it billed itself as an interactive psychological thriller. You watch the story of a couple dealing with a trauma whose lives are upended by a mysterious new psychiatric nurse. So what's the gimmick, you may wonder? Well, the footage is repeatedly interrupted by a virtual psychiatrist, played by the legendary John Hurt, who gives you psychological tests. And it's your answers that subtly alter the course of the narrative you're watching. It was weird, it was ambitious, and it was a bold attempt to do something truly different with the interactive movie format, making it one of the last and most unique gasps of the FMV craze.
How much faith?
So there you have it, the fascinating, sometimes frustrating, and very often cringe-overflowing journey through the golden era of PC FMV games. In the early to mid-90s, they exploded into popularity, promising a revolutionary blend of cinema and interactive entertainment. Higher storage budgets from CD-ROMs allowed developers to go wild, creating multi-disc epics with Hollywood stars and intricate plots. And eventually, they peaked, captivating a generation of gamers hungry for something new. But by the late 90s, audience fatigue, coupled with rapidly falling costs and increasing power of real-time 3D graphics, led to a rapid decline. Gamers wanted more agency, more freedom and interactivity, and less pre-recorded video. The genre all but disappeared, becoming a nostalgic relic for decades. However, like any good story, though in terms of FMV very often it was a really bad one in fact, the genre has seen a re-emergence as a niche in 2010s, with indie developers and a new generation of players rediscovering the charm and unique appeal of interactive cinema. While it may never again dominate the gaming landscape, perhaps for the better, the legacy of these ambitious, quirky and undeniably important titles lives on. What were your favorite 90s FMV games? or those that were so bad that became ironically good? Let me know in the comments below. If you had fun on this little retro adventure with me, why not hit those like, sub and bell icons under the video? They help more than you know. So thanks a lot for watching, take care of yourself, and I'll talk to you soon.